Hi, this is John Ryan in Colorado Springs, and joining me on the line is Canadian Jackson Howden and Greenlander Marxwell Masauna Frederiksen. Did I get that kind of right, Marxwell?
Yeah, kind of. It's Maxwell Masauna Frederiksen.
All right.
So Frederiksen.
So I'm great to have you guys join me. You guys are in Skern, Denmark.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to maybe break this podcast up into two parts, but first we're going to get to know both of you guys a little bit. Who wants to go first?
I mean, I can go for
I think his story's a little bit shorter than mine.
So, I talked to Jackson. I messaged him on Twitter, and he said, "All right, I'm living with a Greenlander, and let's yeah." I said, "Wow, that sounds great. Let's do a podcast talking about you two guys and the North American tournament and how that goes." And I said, "Well, who's this guy? Give me his name so I can Google him." And it gives me it looks like a typical, more of a Danish name than Greenlander with like 27 letters. And like, wait a second, this guy looks like he's African. Wow, this has got to be a story here. So Marxwell, I want to hear your handball beginning, but I want to also hear how you ended up in Greenland and what it's like to be a Greenlander of African descent. So go ahead, give me your life bio here.
So first with handball, I started when I was around 8. At the beginning, I was playing soccer and swimming a lot besides that. So at first I wasn't really interested in handball and just saw it as something to do, just another sport. So as I was growing up, I went on an exchange year in Panama, and I was still playing soccer and handball, but then I decided to kind of more focus on myself. And when I came back, the environments was so bad in soccer, and that I decided to just take a turn to handball and started to focus on handball. So it was mainly just pure entertainment at the beginning, and then around the age of 16, 17, I started to take it a bit more serious. And then when I was turning 18, I decided to move to Denmark and just started to play even more.
So I didn't quite hear you. I thought you said something about Panama.
Yeah, I was in Panama for 1 year for like an exchange year where I went to school and learned about the culture and learned a bit Spanish. So it was a year away from everything. So it was really different.
Yeah. And where did you initially grow up? Where were you born? And
so I was born and raised in Greenland. So
okay.
Since I was born, I've been able to speak Greenlandic and Danish. So
wow. How did your family end up in Greenland?
So my dad, he's from Greenland. He grew up and was also born in Greenland. And my mother was actually born in Africa. And throughout the years, both my father's parents died. So he was sent to what do you call it?
Foster home.
Yeah, foster home. So while he was at the foster home, a lot of the new politics were they should give children a chance to see the world. So some of them got sent to Denmark to learn Danish, and so they could have some experience others had. And then meanwhile, my mother actually had to flee from Africa because there was a war in a little town called Abuja. So she was adopted by her uncle and moved to Denmark.
Yeah.
So during that period, when my dad was around 18 and started to go to university, he went to Denmark. And they met each other when they were about 18 years old. And I moved to Greenland.
Wow. So that's a remarkable I don't know the demographics of Greenland, but I would say if they were to do African descent, what percentage of the population in Greenland would fit that category?
I have no idea. It's a really small amount.
Probably it's you and your brothers and sisters.
I mean, there's some few others, but I mean, now there's coming like more African people, and we know a lot of them too. So just people are coming, but I think the percentage is still really low.
Yeah.
So,
but a very welcoming culture. You never felt like an outsider. Everybody treated you well as just another kid.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I never really get to feel, the feeling of getting pushed away because I knew the native language. So I was always involved with the Greenlandic kids and the Danish kids. So I was always able to kind of switch from friend group to friend group and always be able to talk to them. So I was never really like pushed away. And also sports helped a lot. So a lot of them also did sports. So we were hanging out together. We went to school together and we saw each other every day. So I never really got to feel that experience.
Yeah, that's remarkable. And context, I've never been to Greenland. I've got a few Greenland friends on Facebook. I saw Greenland play at the 2007 World Championships and got to interview some of the guys and attended a dinner function with all the Greenland contingent. So, beautiful country. I'm friends with the Kreutzmann brothers, and they're always on their boat, going off to fish, I assume. And it's just, it's stark, but also colorful in a way. It's kind of hard to describe. I want to visit there sometime. But you said you started initially with soccer, but you kind of fell in love with handball gradually. Do you think that partly because Greenland is so passionate about handball that they really give it a little extra love?
Yeah, I mean, I also in the age of 16, I felt like, so if I wanted to become a soccer player, it was kind of too late because I was already 16 and I wasn't at the level I wanted to be in. So I felt like it was too late. And with handball, you know the story about Minik Delhøj. He started when he was 18 and you can see his career after that. So at the age of 16, I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. I already have some experience. I already have some background knowledge. So it would be possible for me to do the same if I have the same work ethic.
Yeah.
And this.
What position do you play?
So I play left back right now, but I'm slowly turning into a left wing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And have you played for the Greenland national team before, either at the junior level or senior level?
I mean, we had something in the junior level when in youth 16, I think it was called, but it was more like a talent team, they called it. So it was a small gathering and we went to Iceland, played against their national team, and we lost big time. It was horrible, but we got the experience of playing internationally, if you could say so. And then last year in January, I was with the gathering with Greenland, and the year before that, we went to the Faroe Island and played against them. And unfortunately, it was also a big loss, but I got to play about 10 to 15 minutes and got my debut. So for the national team for that.
Well, let's talk just briefly about the Faroe Islands and what they did at the. I don't know exactly what they called it. It was if the Partili Cup. They had like a U18 team or U17 team that won the thing. Does the Faroe Islands success there? Does that you're both part of Denmark, but you both have your Greenland and then the Faroe Islands, and you're roughly about the same population. How How did the Greenlanders feel about the Faroe Islands having such a successful youth team?
I think uh, what from my perspective, I can see why they have, because in Greenland it's really hard to travel just from city to city. You either have to take a boat or fly, and in Faroe Island you can always drive. So for them to play games is a lot easier. So they get a lot of playing time experience where we don't in our youth age. Like until we start to move to Denmark and we are able to play for some team and get more experience. So the difference is like we have a tournament every year and they have an ongoing season, if you could say so.
Right.
So they have a lot of matches and yeah.
Did you grow up in the capital?
Players.
Did you grow up in the capital city of Greenland?
Yes, I grew up in Nuuk.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your decision to go to Denmark to further your handball career.
Yeah. So there was a tendency in my young age that I was one of the few players who went to practice. So we didn't have like a full team every year, but every now and then people would start coming. So I felt that was like pulling me and keeping me behind the other players I wanted to beat. So if you want to go pro, you have to beat some players. So I felt like that was just dragging me down and keeping me to getting to my potential. So I decided to talk to my parents and said, the school isn't something for me in Greenland, and I want to improve my handball. So we kind of agreed to I could go to Denmark and start studying and play a lot of handball. So that was kind of the pathway.
How old are you now?
I'm actually 22 years old. Yeah.
Okay. And I see you guys, you have the Talent Academy gear on. I assume you're staying at one of those, it's kind of hard to describe the schools that they have in Denmark, kind of post high school. They're not really colleges. Yeah. I've heard some different podcasts. They're kind of like learning experience, but maybe you guys can tell me a little bit about where you're living and the environment.
So it's not, because where Joey went, the guy.
Yeah.
So that's where me and Max met at the same place that Joey went last year. And now this year, this is not really like one of those places. It's just kind of like a living facility for the kids travel to and from school. We all just kind of live here and have extra trainings, but there's not really any extracurricular activities here. It's just kind of you live and eat and kind of hang out here. So it's not really like the high school that Joey went to or that we went to last year.
Okay. All right. So almost kind of like a dorm atmosphere, but not the
it's like college dorms almost. It's like college dorms.
Yeah. Are you guys going to college then, or are you taking some sort of classes?
Actually, right now I'm studying marketing. So yeah, I'm going to school 3 times a week, and then I come back and we have practice.
And I'm doing I'm almost done my Bachelor of Commerce degree. I'm doing it online.
Okay. Well, let's transition, Jackson. Doubt if you have the geographic tale to tell that Marxwell does, but tell us a little bit about your handball background. I say we don't go into as much detail as perhaps you did with Mike Namyash. We'll put a link to that, and people can get your history in great detail. But tell us a little bit of how you got involved in handball and how you ended up in Denmark.
Yeah, so I started in Americans. Well, yeah, grade 7 for us. That's kind of when school sports start, and I just kind of hopped right into the school sports. So I played everything and anything. I just loved playing sports. And then handball, there's a tournament every year for junior high kids, it's like a month-long season. And I played that grade 7, 8, 9 with my school. And a lot of the old Alberta players were our coaches for those things. And then I transitioned to high school handball, which is a little bit longer of a season, but it's still in the spring. And I think after my grade 10 year, I went and tried out for the Alberta team. And there wasn't really like elimination process. There was not really enough guys for the team. So it's just kind of, if you can pay for the trips, you can go. And so we started traveling, and that's kind of when I fell in love with the sport. To be able to do that and play handball, it was like best of both worlds for me. So I did that for 3 or 4 years, and then the summer of 2019, we went to the World Youth Championships and with Canada, and I was like extremely disappointed on how Canada played there and all the I don't want to say the politics that got in the way of it, but like the geographical divide between Alberta and Quebec, just the way they play handball. So I just kind of said, screw it, let's go to Denmark. And went to high school with another Canadian. We just kind of showed up there and started training Danish handball. And then that season passed and ended early because of Corona. And then at high school, I met Max, and the coach of the talent academy now, his name's Manus. He was at the high school learning, he was in the coaching line. So over the summer, I stayed in contact with them, and we became really good friends. And they're like, why don't you come back? And I was like, well, I'll be doing school online anyways. So I just kind of said, sure, let's go. And now I'm kind of just all in, trying to be the first Canadian born guy to go play top level pro here. So
top level pro in Denmark. You guys have had some guys do pretty well, in particular Alexis Bertrand in France. But well, tell us about your environment now with Skern and your practice regimen and how the team's doing and how you guys are coping with coronavirus.
So where should we start?
I mean, you just start how it usually is, and then we can go on how it is now.
Yeah. So usually we will have 3 practices with our team. So it would usually be Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a talent training, like an extra training Wednesday morning and Friday afternoon. So that's 5 trainings a week. And then we'll usually have a game on the weekend. Yeah. And all those trainings will be with the Youth 19 team, and they play in the top division in Denmark. So the level is really high for the trainings. And then we play on the 3rd division team, which is right now it's having issues with kind of commitment of players. Yeah. So me and Maxwell are just kind of pure training, and the games are kind of secondary for us at the moment. But now
But let me break in there. I guess what you're saying is, so does Denmark have a youth league? Is that what the U19? Do have a U19 youth league? So that's kind of like, they have a hierarchy of like the top pros, and then it goes down from there. But they also have a separate youth league for U19, and those guys are targeted as potential future pros. Is that right?
I think starting at U17, there's the top, like the Liga, where the best players play, and it just kind of keeps going on from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I guess what I was going to get at is that because those guys are really focused, your training and what you're learning there is a little bit better than what you're getting in a 3rd division competition sort of thing.
The 3rd division's kind of unique in a way, because it's almost like it's almost like a beer league for ex-pro players and guys who just want to have fun. So it's unique for me and Maxwell, but he played 2nd division last year in another city, and then we're just kind of here training this year and hope to take the step to go up next year.
Yeah.
But yeah,
guys that know how to play, but they're doing, like you said, they're doing it for fun. So so you're learning from people that know how to play, but it's just a little bit different atmosphere. Am I summarizing it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how is your team doing so far this year? And have you guys had any postponements?
So far, our team, we've been playing, I think it's 4 matches.
5. I think, yeah, we're still middle of the pack at Division 3. So
yeah, so it's okay, but also not great, because we want to win every game, and we see the potential to win every game, but we haven't been able to like give us our best, if you can say so. Like, we are so, we could say, I mean, what can you say, actually? Like,
we're frustrated.
It's kind of frustrating because we don't really have enough players to make a team so we can practice together all the time. So we have to borrow some of the youth 19 players. And it's really hard to get like a rhythm going when we have to swap the player all the time, because some of the players, they also need rest. So for them to be able to rest, we have to use another player. And then there's a whole different player coming in. Maybe you have someone who shoots really good, and then the next player, he's a fast-paced one, and you have to adapt every single game. So it's been hard to kind of like keep a good momentum and a flow.
And no consistency in terms of the roster and who's playing from one game to next.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so season's going all right, and you're hoping that you can improve and maybe get noticed and move up to a higher division in a better training environment. Is that?
Yeah. There's a second division team that they train about 10 minutes from here. So kind of for me and Maxwell, our hopes is that we can live here again next year and just have to travel to the training, which is 10 minutes away. So
how has COVID-19 impacted your training and games so far?
So far, we don't have any games until the 22nd of November. It's because of COVID-19 and the issues is going up. We have more and more cases coming in. So they want to kind of prevent it in a way. So they say every non-pro teams in the senior league, like in the men's category, they have to they can't play any games, but they can practice.
Yeah. We're coming to the end of a month-long pause, but all like the youth 19 teams and younger have still been playing games.
Yeah.
So our trainings are still going good and strong. So
yeah. All right. Well, this has been a good discussion, and I feel like I know you guys a little bit better now. I'm not sure how much more time I have on the Zoom call I have. So what I'm going to do here is I think we'll wrap up part 1 here, and we'll reconnect up here for part 2. So thanks, guys. And in part 2, we'll talk a little bit about the North American Championship that never was, all the great help the IHF is giving the U.S., all those good things. So stick around, and we'll be right back here shortly for part 2.